Good morning, friends, followers and channel members. Welcome to our Thursday morning flight where we're going to hopefully be taking you all to Funchal, Madeira. A fantastic approach, one which I know all of you will more than likely be familiar with. Beautifully scenic, beautifully complex, and just really rewarding when it's done. However, there are a few issues today. The wind limits are getting very, very close to their minimums, really. So will we make it into Funchal or not, or will we get diverted off to Fuerteventura somewhere? Who knows? Time will tell. But as always, we try and do things as realistically as possible, so that is exactly how we're going to operate this flight today. So hope you are doing well, hope you're going to stick with us. Flight time is only about 1 hour and 40 minutes, but there's a lot to discuss before we get that far. So before we go any further, then welcome on board, everybody. I've just noticed the Flight Life Studio is showing the wrong colours from our long haul the other day. Bear with me one moment. We'll just update that. There we go. That's looking a bit better. I'll get the top banner sorted in a little bit as well. Here comes our morning dispatcher. Good morning, Mr. Dispatcher. So shout out everyone. Thank you for coming on board and joining us for our morning stream. Looking at the chat then, welcome. Hey D Seeger, David, Pedro, Gonzi, Elian as well. JD, our channel members coming in this morning. Christian Starmer, good morning as well. Mark Ferres, Michael Wrongway, Liana. Oh, shame about the work meeting, Liana. Just keep us on silent in the background. Captain Hayton W, good morning. Chris Cooks, good morning. And Anthony celebrating 1 month of channel membership. I am very well, thank you for being here, and good to see you. Hope you enjoyed the long haul the other day as well, and Clinton as well. Welcome to everybody else, and a shout out as well to those of you watching on Twitch this morning. I'm a Beast and Welsh Viking. Good morning to you both. Hope you're all doing well as well. So we've got some things that we need to discuss. A pretty in-depth briefing required then this morning before we can go anywhere. Let's have a look then first and see what the operational flight plan, and we might as well do this whilst we're sat out here. Passengers, I'm going to already get them boarded because they've got a long walk from the terminal this morning. So if we just have a quick look at the tablet, we can see there. Yeah, that's our flight. The alternate then is Fuerteventura. Shear rate's looking good. We've got a nice tailwind helping us along there as well, which is why the flight is perhaps a little bit shorter than normal. It's the beautiful approach, the circling approach from runway 05. Of course, now we're authorised to do the RNP AR approach, providing that the aircraft is all working properly, which at the moment it is, thank God. Not like when we went to Porto Santo the other day, or rather didn't get to Porto Santo the other day. But let's just have a look at the weather currently in Madeira, see what that's got to show for us. So if we just have a quick look at this, I'll just refresh that. Right, so there we go. Look, there you can see winds are currently 360 at 11, gusting to 2. Okay, so what we need to look at before we go any further is our arrival for this. We just have a look here. This is what I want us to focus on. So these are the wind limitations. So what was that wind? That wind was 360 at 11. Okay, so at the moment it's below 11 knots, so that's okay. It's gusting 22 knots, so it's basically about 3-4 knots within limits at the moment. But if we now have a look at the forecast for a little bit later today, there we can see that the winds are looking about 350 at 12. That's okay, but then there's a tempo, and it's the tempo that sort of pricked my ears up a little bit. And that is 360, 17 knots and gusting 27. Well, if that is the case, then that's us scuppered. We can't get in with the winds, so we would have to divert. Fuerteventura is the nominated diversion airport. So with that in mind, it's not a plug fuel day. We're going to be loading extra fuel, definitely. But how much extra fuel can we load? Well, let's go and have a look at the flight plan for that. So here is the flight plan. And this is where we just need to have a little look at all the information on here. So plug fuel, the planned block fuel, down at the bottom there is just over 7.7 tons, which is fine. And that then means that, you know, if we get in there without any go-arounds or anything, then we should land in Madeira with about 3.5 tons left on board. That's fine. If for some reason we can't get into Madeira because the winds aren't going to allow us to do that, then we're going to have to look at divert. So at what point are we going to divert? Well, you can see there it says the fuel for the alternate is just over 2.2 tons, and along that line there, if I just bring this to the top, that way you can see what I'm looking at. So there's our alternate fuel right at the very top there, 2.2225, and then that's for diverting it into Fuerteventura. The company normal reserve is 3.3. Now what does that mean? That basically means that when our aircraft gets down to 3.3 tons of fuel left on board, that is the point where we have to commit somewhere. We're either making it into Funchal, and we have to be pretty confident we're going to make it in, or we are going to have to divert. If we divert below company normal reserves, then chances are we're going to get into our alternate, and you can see the final reserve figure there is just over a ton, 1,063. Yeah, so if we divert when we are below the CNR value, then we would get to Fuerteventura with less than a ton left on board, and that's fuel mayday kind of territory, so we obviously don't want to do that. So given that the winds could potentially be a little bit unpredictable today, then we obviously want to take as much fuel as we can get away with. Now if we just have a look at the planned block fuel, that was 7760. That's right at the top of your screen now. So how much fuel can we actually load in? Well, the maximum we are allowed to load, we can see there the extra, and it says L2599. Let's call that 2.6 tons. So the maximum fuel we can actually load in is 2.6 tons. That is the maximum, because if we go over that amount of fuel, we may be able to get more into the tanks, and I'm sure we can. But if we do, see the little L before that? That means that if we load more fuel, then we're going to be too heavy when we get into Madeira to land. We'll be over our maximum landing weight. So we can't really take any more than 2.6 tons. Do we want to take the maximum allowed? Probably not, because if we get some little directs, we get a shortcut, we've got that nice tailwind as well. The Fenix aircraft also doesn't burn quite as much fuel as the real aircraft, so chances are we're not going to need to we're not going to need quite that much. We're not going to have to throw the whole thing in. So what we will probably take, though, if we take maybe even a couple of tons extra, that would be fine. But then how does that affect our landing weight? So we're planned to land, again, if we have a look at the top, if we just have a look at the very top there, we're planned to land with about, let's call it 62 tons. So if we threw in an extra couple of tons, then that would push our landing weight up to 64 tons. Now, is that okay? Well, yeah, 64 tons is below our maximum landing weight. Our maximum landing weight is 64.5 tons. But can we still stop on the runway at Madeira if that is the case? Well, I've already gone and done a landing calculation. So a dispatch landing calculation. This is based on Madeira runway 05 at the current weather, with our weight of 64 tons, and you can see there, yes, we can get in. Now, just before I go any further, my first officer seems to be barking away somewhere. That's one of the threats of a morning stream. There's probably a delivery man, so just bear with me. I will be back in one moment. All that barking for some junk mail. Yeah, so hopefully that's gone some way towards explaining the sort of issues with today's flight, the fuel, and when we're going to divert, if we're going to divert, that kind of thing. So it's already in my mind that it could be a potential for us today. So should we get on and well, before we go any further, let's just whilst we're sat out here in this glorious sunshine here in Porto, let's work out what fuel we are going to take. So plug fuel is, as we say, about, let's call it 7.7 tons. So I think if we took an extra, let's take an extra 1,750 tons. So let's take 9.5 tons. 9.5 tons of fuel for our flight today, and then we've got ourselves a little bit of extra sort of thinking time and holding time, because what we might end up doing as well is when we get to Funchal, if the winds are out of limits, then we can just sit there in the hold for a while to see if, you know, we can sort of, if those winds will die down or anything like that. So yeah, pretty much we'll go with that, and then hopefully we'll be all right, and we can get in. Right, let's get on board. Passengers are already coming on board, so that's good. Let's jump inside the flight deck, and we'll start setting up.
So, now open the doors, start letting our passengers on board. Thank you.
whilst I'm doing that, let's just set up the overhead as well, so that's working. So we're in Porto, and we're headed to Madeira. Our call sign today is Alpine. This is a real world flight as well, real world call sign. Alpine 12 Bravo Juliet. There we go. Oh, right, so aircraft is in its turnaround state, already powered up, etc. So pumps are off, get that turned on. To captain, so pumps are off, packs are off, APU's off, we're on ground power. Just turn those down a little bit. There we are. And oh, this looks like a full flight. Look at these, look at all these guys coming through. I do love GSX when it's all set up and working properly. Right, one thing we haven't done is actually got our weather for just here, have we? So I don't think we've got any air traffic control here at the moment, so we'll have to sort that. Hey, Tommy Hill, thank you for the follow on Twitch. Hope you are doing well. Mr. Poach on Twitch also said good. Crew resource management, humouring the first officer. Absolutely, got to look after the first officer. Have to feed him as well at some point, otherwise he does get grumpy. Let's just get the meta. I don't want the forecast. Right, so what we got here, this looks pretty straightforward. So winds here are 060 at 11. Going to be departing then, I think, with a bit of a oh no, we have got a nice headwind today. Varying 020 100 cav, okay, and 20 degrees. As we can see, looks absolutely gorgeous, doesn't it? And QNH is 1020. Alright, so that's all done, that's all checked. Let's get our flight deck set up. So nav logo lights are on, acupressure in the green, fuel switches, spoilers, flaps, gear, all parking brake, they're all fine. 1020, that's set. 1 hour 40 is our flight time. Mr. Fireflame, thank you for the follow. We're currently on Unicom. What we got on the guard frequency, that's fine. Just make sure that's been monitored. Radars are off. Switching panel, thrust levers, mode master selectors, etc. They're all good. Constraints on there, and our initial climb here out of Porto is flight level 100. So I'll get that set as well. Company message just come through, so we've already got our load sheet. That's good. Let's set up the box then, shall we? So IRS in it, we've got 3 nav green, check the aircraft status. So CFM engines and our brand new AirAx cycle as well today, guys. So if you are flying, make sure you update that if you have Navigraph's subscription. Okay, so that's all fine. Let's get our ACARS uplinked, and then we'll do our usual stuff. So flight number is Alpine 12 Bravo Juliet, and a cost index of 4 as per usual. Ground temperature 19, and a tropo according to the flight plans 35,294. JD, yeah, absolutely, we're on VATSIM. So we'll just get the winds downloaded and IRS in it. 41, 44, 8, 44, all of those are fine. Let's pop in the cruise flight level today, flight level 370, temperature 55. And departing runway 35, and looks like we're on the Asimov 2 Whiskey. Right at the top. That's what we like. Don't have to scroll through pages and pages. Insert that, and then into runway 05. Now this is going to be the RNAV AR runway 05. And that's the Lidra 1 Papa arrival, and that comes in via Bilim. So the flight plan, 687 miles in the box, 663 miles. There's a bit of a discrepancy there, isn't there? Let's just have a look to make sure the flight route looks okay. Don't mind a few miles, but that one was a bit more than I'd expected. So let's just have a look what that is. Well, Viking mate, thank you so much for the Prime sub on Twitch. Appreciate that and your support of the channel. Thank you so much. Okay. That's not what I expected. So... oh, it's the RMP Zulu approach AR. I've put the wrong one in. Hang on. Arnav. Where's the Zulu? There it is. Arnav Zulu. That's the one. Yeah, there you go. So you've got full guidance all the way down. I still think it comes in via Pilim. Yeah, as the initial approach fix for that. So, pop that in. Yeah, I chose the RNAV A, presuming it was AR, but it's not. Right, what distance do we now have? Let's see. 675 in the box. That looks much closer. And if we just scroll through there, that's the one. Lovely. Makes flying this approach much easier. Almost boring now compared to how it used to be. Alright, that's all done. That's fine. Radnav page then here in Porto. There is some nav aids, I think, at Porto. It's just not showing it here. RP35, there we are. So, Papa Romeo Tango, that's the one. It's already auto-tuned, but we'll just hard-tune that in there. So that's done. Okay, onto our init B page then, if we've got the preliminary load sheet then. What's Viking, you're currently flying the A320 from Johannesburg to Nairobi. I hope you got the freeware scenery from flightsim.to for Nairobi. I'm very impressed with that when we had a look at it the other day. Okay, so 0 fuel weight 58.4. And CFG is expected to be 30.4. And then our takeoff weight CFG is 28.4. Now that may change because of the extra fuel we're going to load in, but hopefully not by too much. Nick, good morning, Nick. Nick has crawled out of bed to join us this morning. Hey mate, how you doing? Hope you're well. Right, fuel for the alternate today. Right, let's have a look at these alternates. So we've obviously said Fuerteventura is the planned alternate, but what's the weather actually going to be like in Fuerteventura? Let's have a look and see. So let's see. At the moment, it's actually, that looks pretty good. So at the moment, it's clear skies, visibility is good, fuel clouds 2,500 feet, broken 3.5. Look at the forecast winds, 010 at 15. That's right down the nose because the runway at Fuerteventura is runway 1, so straight down the nose, so that's no problem, and a few clouds. So there's no real reason why Fuerteventura shouldn't be our go-to place. We've got Porto Santo on there as well, which is next to Madeira, or next to Funchal. But if you have a look at that, there's also the small chance of those winds getting up as well. Not that there's any sort of wind limitations there in Porto Santo, but you know, it's another one that if fuel's running low, are you guaranteed to be able to get in there without a go around? Potentially not. Gran Canaria's also got a chance of the winds getting up to gusting 30. Back to Lisbon. Lisbon's okay. Small chance later tonight of those winds getting up, and also back here into Porto, where the weather again looks absolutely fine. So out of all of those, then realistically, Fuerteventura probably does look like the better option. Now, of course, we're sticking with Fuerteventura for our alternate. But if we have a look just here now at the top of the screen, we can see there's sort of a fuel gain or even a fuel penalty for some of them. So Fuerteventura is obviously the nominated alternate, so that makes no difference. Porto Santo, if we decide to go there, well, we've got an extra ton and a half to play with. You can see 1577 there. If we went to Gran Canaria, that's pretty much the same. 40 kilograms is neither here nor there, is it? If we went back to Porto, however, we would need an extra 1.2 tons of fuel, so that's just worth keeping in the backs of our mind. You know, what happens if suddenly we get out there and then it's reported that, you know, an aircraft's crashed at Fuerteventura or something like that, so the runway's blocked. There's only one runway there, so definitely worth keeping in mind. I mean, that would put us in a very, very interesting scenario, wouldn't it? If suddenly Fuerteventura became unusable for whatever reason, well then, are we actually going to continue to mid-air in case we can't get in? What's, you know, that would probably be something like Plan D then. To, if we've got enough fuel, turn around and get back into Lisbon, or get back into Lisbon down at the bottom there. Okay, so yeah, that's fine. Lisbon's going to be sorry, Fuerteventura is going to be the alternate that we're going to go with. So let's call the alternate there. Let's call that 2.3 tons. We'll get that in. Right. So plan block fuel. We're going to take 9.5. It wants 7.6, and that's fine. So now if we pop that in, you can see we've got an extra 1.9 tons, which is around 58 minutes of sort of holding time at Funchal in case we need to wait. So takeoff weight 677, and now we can do our takeoff performance calculations. So let's go over here and run those numbers. So we're departing 3.5. It is dry, very dry. Flaps 1. No need to force tow guide. Tell us about packs off. Takeoff weight 677. And the CFG is planned 28.4. Single live weather. We've got intersection departures. Let's have a quick look. So we're parked at where are we parked actually? We're parked stand 57, which is just here. Parked in front of the cargo hold, but actually it's not unrealistic. These flights have actually departed from this stand anyway, as according to Flight Radar 24. So yeah, that's fine. Now we could actually potentially, could we take off Delta? Is that a possibility? Let's have a quick look. See if there's anything sort of against that. I'm guessing not. I mean, it's a nice long runway here, so a nice short taxi would be great. Can't see anything that prevents us taking off from Delta. When 35 new aircraft taxiing from South April, Charlie Duck should expect takeoff from taxiway Charlie or Delta intersection. Right, okay, that is fair enough. Planes and Stuff, welcome to the First Officers Club. Planes and Stuff, thank you for your channel membership, our first new channel member of our stream to Funchal today. Thank you so much, really appreciate your support, Planes and Stuff, and good morning to you. Hope you are well. Right, so in section Delta it is. That makes things much quicker in terms of the taxi. Very, very short taxi now, so little threat there, but nothing that is going to concern us. Right, let's do Delta then. Good morning, Swagger. Right, what we got? Our perf is 143. 143. 146. So if you are just joining us whilst we're doing this, might be worth revisiting sort of the first sort of little bit of the stream, the last sort of 20 minutes or so. We've been talking about all the dangers getting into Funchal with the winds today and how we're going to divert, if we're going to divert, where we go, what extra fuel we've got, at what point we need to make that decision, all that kind of stuff. So we've been through that, but we'll keep an eye on it obviously as we're travelling down. Transition altitude is 4,000 and flex is 62. Okay, let's have a look at SimSmart for our thrust reduction acceleration value. So 1228. Yes, I'm not going to quibble over a foot. That's fine. And the engine out procedure is standard, so left turn to Retmo, where we'll enter the hold. I think that's just a spelling error. It is Retmo, isn't it? So going to the secondary flight plan. Copy the active. So we're straight out from, let's just call it Lima Papa Papa Romeo, shall we? So LPP R Lima Papa Papa Romeo. Track 350, 50 miles out, and then a left turn to Retmo. Normally I'd create an engine outset, but I'm just been a little bit quicker this morning because it could potentially be a long stream if the winds don't die down. Then we'll come back in LPPR, and that will have us coming back in for the RNAV 35, no star, no VIA. That's fine. Just check what that looks like. Yeah, so straight out, left turn, and enter the hold. 083 right turns. Done. Okay, secondary flight plan's done. We're happy. There's a hold. It all looks fine. So now everything's all set up. Probably time to start thinking about the brief then. Well, we've already done a lot of the brief with regards to our fuel, what we're taking, and the weather that we've got. So I'm going to just skip the weather brief because we've done that. We know we've got nice weather here. Didn't actually look at weather conditions en route, did we? Not that it's going to make a difference to the amount of fuel we're going to take because, well, we've done that anyway. We've taken as much as we dare, but just for confirmation, yeah, there's nothing. We're going to have gorgeous views of the Atlantic Ocean for most of this stream. So aircraft type is fully serviceable. Nothing in the tech log with regards to anything except the weather radar. However, weather's looking good today, so that's going to be fine. No terms for our departure. Threats to be aware of. We've spoken about the threats with regards to the potential already for the diversion. Threats to be aware of. Here we've got a short taxi. That's a little threat. And in terms of the sort of terrain around Porto, there's not that much. We've got a bit of terrain over to the west. You can't see. Sorry, over to the east. You can't see that on the chart here, but it is there. Just for confirmation of that. Yeah, here it is. So just be aware of that. MSA then as we take off to the right-hand side as we depart. It's 3,000 to the left, which is where we'll be turning. It'll be 2,000. That's over the Atlantic. Okay, so we're parked at stand 57. We're going to push back facing south on Sierra 5. We'll then take Sierra 5 straight into holding point Delta for our departure runway 35. Very, very short taxi, so it's not going to be a single engine taxi today for the intersection departure from Delta. The departure itself is straightforward, so it's straight out, and then we've got a left turn at Ud Rub. Noise abatement 2. Our initial climb is flight level 100. Transition altitude is 4,000 feet. No speed restriction, so we can just accelerate and clean up on schedule. The engine out procedure then, so that's the normal bit of briefing done. The engine out procedure we've just seen as we pop that into the box is standard, so straight out here. If we have a problem, we'll pull heading, we'll fly straight out on runway track, and then we'll clean up that engine, accelerate away, and then we can make a turn towards our holding point. Left turn once above 1,700 feet to Retmo, where we'll enter the hold and most likely then come back here. And then all that fuel planning will be useless to us. Anyway, just going through the box, confirmation of all of that. 3-5 departure, as was 2 whiskey departure. We've got the Porto VOR in the box. Flywall 370 is planned cruise. Optimum's 3.6, but that's fine. We can get us up to 3.7. Nothing there. Clean speed is 208. V1 143, VR 143, V2 146. We're doing a flaps 1 departure, forgot to fill that out. Flex is 62 today, and the where's it gone? And our takeoff weight is planned to be at around 67.7, which is above our maximum landing weight. Maximum landing weight is 64.5, so we'll be about 3 and a bit. We'll probably be about 3 tons heavy. So if we do have to come back in, then have that in mind. It's not a problem. We can get back in, but it's definitely worth noting. And the secondary flight plan's got our engine out procedure in. Okay, I think that is about it. I'm going to start cleaning up. In fact, there is one thing I need to do. I need to revisit those speeds just because I haven't loaded the aircraft with the fuel that we need just yet. So we want 9.5 tons. Just pop that in. There we go. Aircraft is loaded. Alright, well, the last few passengers are getting on board. Refueling has finished, and all is okay. Second perf calculations is for flaps 2, is it? Are you sure? Oh, so it is. Why is it done that? Right, okay, well, we'll revisit them then. I don't even know when that changed, because don't we touch that? Ah, hang on, no. Alright, so looks like what's happened there is, as I was just touching to change screens, then I must have just caught it by mistake. But no, you can see the those match at 143, 146 actually. That's better. 143, 146, 146. Flex 62. That's fine. Flaps 1. Okay. Yeah, they're fine. And cleans 2 to 1. Now we're all set. Wonderful. I think everyone's on board. Let's get the doors then closed, and we'll be about ready to go. Ash says he's watching for the first time from Australia and loving it. Ash, welcome, mate. I mean, I don't normally stream this early in the morning here in the UK, so I would imagine it's an okay time for you to watch at the moment, but normally when I'm streaming late afternoon, it's probably not that great for you. But great to have you on board, mate. Do appreciate that.
Hi Gavin, all the passengers are on board and we're ready to go. I'll bring you a cup of tea after we've taken off.
Great stuff, thank you very much.
Company messages come through as well. Let's clean up the overhead and get the ground crew into position. Get APU on as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck this morning, let me welcome you on board this Easyjet aircraft as you settle in for what we hope is going to be a most enjoyable flight. The weather today doesn't look to be posing much of a problem, so we should have a nice smooth ride for you throughout the duration of the flight. And as the cabin crew continue making their last preparations, if you please assist them by getting yourselves sat down, your seatbelts fastened, and making yourselves nice and comfortable. The ground crew have now finished loading the aircraft, and we're just about finished with all our pre-flight checks, so it won't be long until we are pushed back. If you could please give the cabin crew your full attention as they go through the safety briefing, we'd very much appreciate it.
Dear Lord Captain, we are ready for pushback.
And the First Officer would like to say thank you for choosing Easyjet today, and we look forward to giving you a safe flight.
Final load she's come through. Takeoff weight 67.6. That's fine. And 29.1 is the CFG, but that's within limits. So no need to do any last minute calculations. APU starting up.
Departure checks completed. Bypass being certified.
Alright, so cockpit preparation checklist. So aircraft acceptance has been completed. Fuel quantity is 9 tons, checked and balanced. Seatbelt signs are on. Ideas got 3 nav greens, and QNH is 1020, set at 230 feet. No, we want to be facing south on Sierra 5, don't we? Yes, surely that would be the nose to the right though. These two are contradicting each other, are they not? I want to face south on Sierra 5. Let's see what happens.
Cabin crew, please land on cross-check.
Alright, just confirm we're on Unicom. Porto traffic Alpine 12 Bravo Juliet, stand Sierra 57, pushback facing south on Sierra 5. Hopefully. Right, beacon lights on, transponder, occupation's in the green. And the before start checklist. So parking brake is on, takeoff data has been confirmed, windows are closed, EFB is on flight mode. Get rid of that one. It's not really, I can't be bothered, but it would be. Doors are closed, armed, and the beacon light is on. Pilot Tim, what happens if you can't land at the airport you want to, and there are no alternate airports which you have the fuel to go to? It wouldn't happen, pilot. Too much planning goes into it. You've seen sort of, we thought about every sort of scenario just on the departure here today. We've got all the extra fuel needed. If it looks like we're not going to be able to get in somewhere, we've got fuel to go somewhere else. And we wouldn't hang around waiting either. You know, as soon as we get to that magic number, the CNR number, then we're off somewhere where we know we can land. Hey, just Willie. Didn't know you were here, mate. Good afternoon, or good morning. I'm not used to saying good morning. I'd seen that lots of people are having issues with NVIDIA drivers. The good news is I'm really lazy and I don't update them, so... it's Antonio from Porto. Fantastic. Does the weather look as nice in real life as it does here in the sim?
Lacking gear.
Pilot, what if conditions change mid-flight and you can't return? If they're looking like they're going to change, then you would still be able to return. It's very rare anything like that ever happens. In fact, I'm sure the last crash due to a fuel emergency was down to pilot error and not declaring a fuel emergency. Avianca 252, I think?
Hey, easy parking brakes, please.
The only other fuel emergency is when they, of course, load the wrong amount of fuel into the aircraft.
Hey, easy parking brakes, please.
Okay, we're good. We've done the checks and we're ready to go. So, parking brakes released.
Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at wheel.
Gorgeous looking airport, this one. Engine mode selected to ignition and starting engine 1. Aiden, yeah, you forget to convert to battery. That's pretty much what I was getting at. But yeah, it's happened, hasn't it? We know it's happened. Unfortunately. Just while we're pushing that thing, guys, if you could do us a huge favour, just hit that like button on the stream. It does make a big difference. So thank you to everyone that's gone and done that already. Hopefully you're enjoying the stream so far this morning. And we've not even got airborne yet.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now ask for your attention while we take you through the safety procedures on this aircraft.
John, thank you for the follow.
A
Looks like
safety car
GSX is pushing us back in the right direction, so that's good news.
Oxygen masks, life jackets, and brace position that you must adopt if you hear brace, brace. There are 2 emergency exits at the rear, 4 in the middle, and 2 at the front of the cabin. Floor lighting will guide you to an exit. Please be aware that your nearest exit may be behind you. In an emergency, leave all cabin baggage on board.
Parking brakes are set.
Your seatbelt is fastened,
Cockpit to ground.
adjusted, and released as shown. It
Unlocking
must be fastened when the seatbelt signs are on, and we recommend that you keep it fastened at all times. If the air supply fails,
Okay,
masks will
so
drop
engine
from the
1's happy,
cabin.
starting engine 2.
Pull a mask towards you to start the oxygen. Put the mask over your nose and mouth. Hold in place with the strap. Pull on each side to adjust. Put on your own mask before helping.
Pedro, yeah, you do need the
If you
APU
land on
bleed on
water, take the
to
life jacket
get the
and
engine
under your
started.
seat. Put it over your head.
Ash, why engine 1 first? Thought it was engine 2 first. The quick answer is standard operating procedure. The long answer
To adjust.
is all to do with hydraulics and single engine taxi. If you're not doing a single engine taxi, it really doesn't matter which one you start first. Single engine taxi though, engine 1, and then the yellow hydraulic pump.
There is a light and whistle for attracting attention.
Left is good.
We also
Right is
carry
good.
flotation aids for children.
Mats Jensen, good morning. I'm doing well. You're staying at the Hangover Lounge today. Sounds like a good night was had.
Window blinds open and seatbelt fastened. We wish you a pleasant flight with Easyjet.
Planes and stuff, you got to touch an A380 winglet today. Well, was it good? I've stood on the end of a 747's wing and bounced up and down on it before. That was actually quite scary. Right, engine number 2 is happy, so engine mode selectors back to normal. APU bleed can come off, APU masters can come off, anti-ice not required. On the spoilers, zero the rudder, flaps 1, and set our trim value. Just noticed something with the McDo, which I'm going to have to check in a moment. 29.1, there we go, set that. So our McDo, there was a bit of a reset when we disconnected the external power, even though APU was running. We just check everything's still in the box. Oh yeah, it is. That was just worrying me. Some sim bug had taken place there, but thankfully not. Anyway, after start checklist. So, anti-ice is off, feed cam status is checked, pitch trim is 29.1%, and rudder is neutral. Do our flight control check because it's a short taxi as we've already briefed. So go full left and full right, neutral, full up, full down, neutral rudder, full right, full left, and neutral. So yeah, our taxi incredibly short. We're only going there. So quick peds check, no change performance, no LMCs, flex takeoff, QNH hasn't changed, that's all fine. Dry figures from Delta. Our engine out procedure is standard, 1900 feet left turn to the holding point, nice and safe, 3000 feet will be fine. The departure is Asimov 2 whiskey straight out, then a left turn, noise abatement 2. No speed restrictions, and our initial climb is 10,000. Alright, let's go. Porto traffic, Alpine 12 Bravo Juliet, taxi now via Sierra 5, and then intersection Delta for departure, runway 35. Water brake max. Radars that don't really work on. And the taxi checklist. So flight controls have been checked. Flap setting is config 1. FMA has got climb nav blue 1FD2. 10,000 blue. Radar predictive windshield is on. ECAM memo takeoff no blue. And the EFP is stowed. Just get that disconnected.
Cabin crew, seat for takeoff.
So Alex, the weather radar sadly doesn't work in the Phoenix or the PMGG, anything like that. We're still waiting for Azobo Microsoft to kind of open that up to third-party developers. Now, just having a bit of a paranoia moment here. That is Delta, isn't it? Yes, that's fine. Hey Dave Hicks, so I am using the Thrustmaster Captain's Pack. So we've got the Thrustmaster side stick, we've got the thrust levers, the spoiler axis, flaps levers, etc. All of that stuff. Alright, approach path looks clear. Porto traffic Alpine 12 Bravo Juliet landing up runway 35 via intersection Delta for departure Asmov 2 Whiskey. Doesn't look like a lot of runway left there, does there? The perf calculator said we can do it, so I hope it's right. Right, I'm going to hold it there though. I don't want to waste any runway lining up. So that's it, we're done. Line up checklist. So cabin is secured for takeoff. Takeoff runway via Delta is runway 35 confirmed. TCAS TR packs 1 and 2 are off. Let's go. Let's see if we can get into Madeira with the windy weather. So takeoff, start the chrono. I'm just going to hold it on the brakes here. Let the engine spool up. There we go. And let's set takeoff thrust. Man flex SRS. Engine number 2 is critical. Checked. V1, rotate. Nav. Oh, just sort of weathercocking into the wind there. There we are. Autopilot engaged because I want to look at the view. Awesome. Okay, and thrust climb. Climb. Oh, a little bit bumpy there as well. Just look at that. You can see the wind actually. We've got a nice 22 knot crosswind at the moment. Good morning, Katie Pilot. Oh, where were you a bit ago when we were briefing all the alternate fuel and potentials for not getting in? It's going to be touch and go today, not literally. Oh my word, some wing wobbling going on here. This is the new realistic turbulence setting. Wobbling around that much I can't even pull standard pressure. There we go. Right, we're above airspeed. Let's accelerate away. Flap 0, spoilers disarmed. There we go. No air traffic control around, so let's give ourselves a higher climb. So 250, we'll go open climb for that. Open climb 250 blue. There we are. So yeah, this is going to be a very interesting flight, particularly when we get to closer to our destination. So if you're just joining us, the winds in Funchal today, they're just below the limits, but there's a forecast for them to get a little bit higher, pushing us out of the limits. So we may end up just circling around in the Atlantic Ocean until we get to our CNR, and then sort of buggering off to Fuerteventura or somewhere. Assuming no one wrecks the runway at Fuerteventura, then it will become a very interesting stream. The magic number, by the way, the magic number is 3.3 tons. Below 3.3 tons, we've got to commit to somewhere, because after that, we're not getting in and staying above final reserves, which would be bad. Right. So let's just ding our cabin crew. They can start prepping the drinks. I mean, you're off to Madeira. You want some drinks, don't you? So spoilers, flaps, gear, lights can come off. Don't need those now. And this is it, really. This is the last bit of land we should see until we get to Madeira and Porto Santo.
Please keep your seatbelt fastened while the seatbelt sign is on. We recommend that you keep your seatbelt fastened whenever you are seated. Toilets are located at each end of the cabin. Remember that smoking is not permitted at any time. This includes e-cigarettes.
Looks a bit windy. I was looking for a sun reflection down there. You can only just see it, really. You get a good idea about how windy it is in the sim just by looking at the water. Someone asked me in the chat a bit ago on YouTube about turning the packs off for departure. Is that standard procedure? Every airline does it different. So airline standard operating procedures that obviously I'm following today, they turn them off. And it just gives sort of better performance to the engines for departure, saves a bit of wear and tear, a bit of fuel, that kind of thing, which is what airlines are all about. But not all airlines do that. Right, passing 10,000 feet, so get airports onto the EFIS. I can clear out the RadNav page. Progress page 5370. So actually looks like, yeah, so the last time I looked at this when we were doing the brief, I'd not actually loaded all the payload into the aircraft. So maximum is 372. So we'll probably go 350 until we've burnt a bit of fuel off. So let's do that now. 350, just to confirm, 350 blue. So that's okay. Cost index is zeroed. Fuel prediction page, that's fine. Secondary flight plan. I'm going to leave the secondary flight plan in at the moment because basically the holding point is, well, we're just about to fly over it, so you know, if something goes wrong now, we can dump ourselves in the hold without and just not have to worry about sort of setting that back up again. So that's fine. That's it. We're on our way. 6 minutes into the 1 hour and 40-minute flight. So, hope you're enjoying this flight so far, guys. The flight, the 6-minute flight, the stream. And we'll keep an eye on what's happening weather-wise in Madeira. Always fun when the winds are like this. Just having a quick look on Flight Radar 24 as well. As, you can sometimes just see aircraft sat in the hold. It's usually at, where is it? Yeah, so they're usually holding there at Pillim, just sat there northeast of the island, sat there and waiting. Pilot Tim, will I do a setup tour? I'm not actually sure what one of those is, Pilot Tim, if you want to elaborate. Let's calm down a bit now. Let's let the passengers relax a little bit. So on Twitch, yeah, just talking about on the spoiler button. I've done exactly the same. The button below one of the engines is my spoiler arm and disarm toggle switch, and that seems to work well. Interesting fact, though, that those buttons there on the Thrustmaster TCA pack, they're not actually buttons in real life. What they are lights. They're fire engine lights. I don't know if you can actually see it. If I just zoom in a little bit. Yeah, oh, there you go. Phoenix done a great job here. You can just see how fire is written there. So that if there is an engine fire, engine 1 or 2, these will light up red, you know, fire. The idea behind that is so you don't inadvertently, by mistake, shut down the wrong engine that hasn't got a fire. We all know that has happened in the past. So yeah, they're not actually buttons, they're just little lights in the real thing. Oh, Pilot Tim? No, I probably won't be doing one of those. Kingy T, do I think we'll see a Phoenix update this year? I certainly hope so, Kingy T. Obviously, you know, I can't talk too much about what's going on at the moment, but I would say things are looking positive. You know, there's a good roadmap, and yeah, things are looking positive. Ash, do I have custom views to share? I certainly do. So if you are on our Discord server, in the pilot's briefing room on there, there are my custom views. So my custom views basically just take you around the aircraft. So we've got that view there, we've got the wing view, and then a bit further back, which is a bit quieter, and then just over to the other side as well. And then we've also got the nose view, which I really like that one. That one's perhaps not quite as exciting when you're flying over the Atlantic, but I mean, you're flying over the Atlantic, there's no clouds. It's as blue as it gets, really. Planes and stuff, if an A321 gets released by headwind, would I fly it often? I would, but, you know, it's one of those things. Like they said to us live on stream the other day, it is planned, but it's very, very early stages of planning, so I'm not sort of expecting that to come to fruition at the moment, and they're throwing all their work behind the A330, and quite rightly too. So it's more of a hope that we might see something like that, rather than we definitely will. Right, let's just see what's happening then in Madeira, shall we? Just so we can keep an eye on things, really. See what's happening there. Chino says, would I consider updating SimSmart to support the A330? The problem is I don't have any sort of values to reference, so we can make that happen. Obviously with the 320 we did. So anything that we did there would just be a bit of a stab in the dark. And at the moment A330 doesn't use decelerator thrust or flex takeoff. It doesn't really make much difference, so I'm led to believe. So until that actually made a difference, it wouldn't affect anything. Hey Richard, good morning. Right, have we got that? Have we got those weathers through yet? Let's have a quick look. Funchal at the moment is 35014. That's okay. We can get in at that. Although it's by 1 knot. It's 1 knot under the limits. So if it's reported 15, that's okay. 16, that's no good. And of course, we've got to take gusts into consideration as well. Now, if the winds start to spin round so they come in between 230 and 300, there's no limitations. Apart from the usual, obviously, we'll be able to get in then on a different runway, so that's that will be fine. Right, 10,000 feet to go, then we'll be at our cruise. Fraser 1850, hello, good morning, mate. Hope you're well. You're joining us on a very scenic flight of the Atlantic Ocean. Hey, David Moon, good to see you.
In just a few moments, we'll commence our in-flight service, offering you the chance to purchase a selection of hot beverages, together with drinks and snacks from the bar. We accept payment in pounds, euros, most major currencies, and debit or credit cards. The correct change would be greatly appreciated, and if we could be of any further assistance, then just ask us as we join you in the cabin shortly.
So Christian, I hope you're right. So when I was looking at the flight this morning for this one, let me just find the where's my app on my phone? Very good app. because I'm lazy, so I don't have to decode the METAR. Oh, there we go. So the TAF issued at 0500. So the forecast today is between 6 AM this morning, 6 AM tomorrow morning. That's UTC time, of course. It's 350 at 12. That's all right. However, there's also a temporary TAF also issued, and that's between 6 AM this morning and midnight tonight, again UTC time, and that is winds getting up to 17 knots from 360 and gusting 27 knots from 360. So that is out of our limitations. So yeah, that's what we're hoping just stays sort of out of the way for us until we can get in. Mads, have I got any sick bags? The hangover's not been good. What were you doing last night, Mads? It was a Wednesday. It was midweek. Surely can't go boozing in the middle of the week. Pedro, have I already been to Portugal? We've done many flights to Portugal. Yeah. Danny, have I heard about the ATR Binter that landed even though the winds were out of limits? The tower said it was his own responsibility to land. So he did. Well, yeah, I suppose. At the end of the day, everything's the pilot, the captain's choice, isn't it? But you know, imagine doing that and something going wrong. Then a whole host of legal claims are just going to come pouring down on that airline and pilot. Is it really worth it? I don't know what Binter's standard operating procedures are, or whether they're a little bit more relaxed at trying stuff like that, but there you go. Kingy, when coming into land, if you want a longer approach than what is automatically given when planning an arrival, how do you change it to get a longer approach? The best thing to do is just fly using heading mode and sort of vector yourself in. Give yourself a longer downwind leg, and then before making the base turn. Knight of Norway, thank you for the follow. Hope you are well. Good morning to you and the others on Twitch. Christian, if it's out of limits, say goodbye to any insurance. Yeah, I think you're going to have to be brave or stupid. There's a fine line between the two to want to do something like that. In fact, did anybody recently see the live stream from Madeira where an Easyjet his wings were waving all over the place coming into runway 5 at Funchal, and in the end they thought, screw this, and they just togered it. And it was almost like a vertical takeoff. You know, everyone would have been pinned into the backs of those seats. It looked incredible. Nothing dangerous about it, by the way. Well, absolutely fine. But yeah, I thought it looked brilliant. Gonzi, is there thrustmaster back for the first officer as well? Yeah, so it actually comes with it comes with either left-hand side setup or right-hand side setup. So there's little components that you add to it. So yeah, don't worry about that. It's absolutely fine. You just swap them over. Mark, no. Well, there might have been a Wizz Air as well, Mark. I've not seen that. But there was an Easyjet. There was an Easyjet did it a couple of days ago. Hey, Knight of Norway. Good to see you. Thank you for the follow as well, by the way. Danny says, yeah, get rid about the safety, but can also say... Well, yeah, Danny, I think you're right there as well, because, you know, Binter pilots will be so used to these sort of kind of routes and those winds and things like that. If an experienced pilot has done it 100 times, literally 100 times, you know, maybe more. He knows his aircraft. He knows pretty much how things are going to work out. So, is there anything wrong with it? Not if it goes well. Not if it goes well. Would you want to take that responsibility? Me, personally? Probably not. Probably not. But then, in a simulator, that's very different to real life, isn't it? Matt Jensen says everyone in Denmark has Thursday off work. Really? Oh, it's kind of like a national holiday in Denmark, is it today? We're getting close to our top of climb now. 3.5 still sounds like a good plan, so let's just update the perf page. 350. There we are. Awesome Air, good day. Thank you so much for the Twitch follow. Appreciate that. Probably not much need for the terrain radar now, is there? Let's be honest. I think we're far enough away that I'm going to clear out the secondary flight plan. Fine. About 700 feet to go. Planes and stuff, you're applying for flight school next month. Excited but nervous. You'll have to let us know how you get on planes and stuff. Awesome journey potentially ahead of you. Oliver, do I recommend FSI panel? Yeah, I do. I really do. I've used it loads in the Phoenix. And yeah, you can practice the same approach over and over and over again. You need to set up nothing from scratch every time. It does it all for you. It's very good. I know some of our channel members will have seen that on our members only streams when I use it to set things up and get in with strong crosswinds whilst practicing stuff like that. Alright, so we're at Mac All-Star. Hey Matt, thank you for the sub. Hope you're well. Christian, you worked extra hard yesterday with overtime, so you don't need to do anything tomorrow and get a long weekend. It's a good way of doing it. Right, there we go, Mac Alt Cruise, and we're at the top of climb. Let's cycle the SD pages. Do these still not do them properly? No. Okay. Let's see what's occurring and make sure nothing is nothing's broken.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, we'll be delighted to hear that we're now at our cruising altitude, and we hope to give you nice views throughout the flight as we have good weather ahead and should be experiencing any turbulence. Of course, this means that you will not spill any of your drinks that you may have from the cabin trip as they begin to start making their way around the aircraft. Could you please ensure that the aisles are kept clear so the cabin crew can offer you their cabin service, which will begin shortly. A reminder that Easyjet single pilot channel members are able to access free trips throughout the duration of the flight. Thank you, and I invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the remainder of the flight.
Right, nothing looks out of the ordinary on the ECAM pages, the SD pages, so they're fine. Anthony, mate, welcome back to our First Officers Club. Anthony, thank you so much for supporting us. Really, really kind of you. Our second new channel member today as well, so thank you so much, guys. Remember to get yourselves on our Discord server and into the members lounge as well. It's great to have you back, Anthony. Thank you so much. Hope you're doing well, and welcome to our flight to hopefully our flight to Madeira. So back is, yeah, the Grand Prix obviously being cancelled due to the severe flooding. I was listening to the radio reports on this. The actual racetrack and things didn't have much of an issue. You know, that the racetrack and all the grounds and that, I think they were absolutely fine, but everything around it was awful. And of course, if you're doing a Grand Prix, you need loads of emergency services there, you know, just in case anything goes wrong, which would divert the attentions from the people that need them currently because of the flooding. So I think it was a sensible decision to cancel that. So automatically, the overlay that I'm using at the top is courtesy of Fly Live Studio. Right, so we'll do a fuel check as well. Where are we? We're coming up to 2 nav. Let's work this out then. Christian's keeping us updated with the latest METAR then for Palmer 360 at 13, gusting 23. Windy, but doable. It's legal for us to start that approach. And Oliver Shotter, mate, thank you so much for your channel membership as well. Oliver, welcome to our first Officers Club. Make sure you get yourself into the Members Lounge on Discord, and do go back and check the members only streams that we've had recently, where you see me attempting to do all kinds of daft stuff. Serious stuff, but we might occasionally be trying to replicate the Hudson River incident, usually without much success. But thank you all for your support, our third new channel member of our stream today. Now what we were doing a fuel check, weren't we? So first of all, how much extra fuel did we take? We took on board 9.5 tons. Plug fuel was 7.7, which means we've got about 1.8 tons extra. If we go down to find 2 nav in our flight plan, there it is then at the top. We should have 5.5 tons, but 5.5 adding the 1.8 extra we've got is 7.3. Oh, plus the contingency as well, I forgot about that, which is 200 kilograms. So we should have about 7.5 tons in the tanks then at 2 nav. And if we just have a quick look then, what do we have? We have 7.6, so fuel's good. Fuel's fine. Ash, how can you support us more? Well, thank you for subscribing and liking. Please make sure you also get on our Discord server, if you use Discord, of course, where I'm usually knocking around, and plenty of our other channel members are as well. There's also channel membership and super chats, but obviously they're not compulsory or essential. But a huge thanks to our Easyjet Simpilot channel members, as always, for supporting the channel and allowing me to make as much time as possible to dedicate to making the videos, and of course the live streams, which is where we will come together and hopefully kind of enjoy life away from the real world. Oliver says, good to join the channel. You're a newbie to the Phoenix and the streams are invaluable. Oliver, thank you so much. And of course, don't forget, if you've got any questions or anything like that, well, now is a great time to ask. Well, we're just sat here doing very little, just praying the weather's good. We'll start looking at the brief for the arrival in about 20 minutes or so. But what time are we looking to get in? Looking to get in, I'd say about 1200 hours UTC time. So that's fine. Company messages come through as well, probably yelling at us for being late. "5 minutes late," that's not even worth a report. Okay guys, just give me 2 minutes. I've got a dog barking and I've got a cat meowing, and apparently someone's lost some keys. I shall be back in I'll only be a minute. Back in a second. Yeah, right, back with you. That's quite a nice view actually, because that's just confirmation again, live weather is working. Hey Oliver, good morning, hope you're okay. James says his cat meows at him until he goes outside with him and feeds him grass. Feeds him grass? Really? Elliot, you've missed the departure, but you've had a busy morning. No worry. I mean, there's plenty to recap on. So we're keeping an eye on the winds in Madeira. They're quite close to these limits at the moment. If they go above these limits, we can't go into Madeira. If fuel starts to drop below CNR, which is 3.3, then we're going to have to divert, and looks like we've pretty much already nailed our plan in, and it's going to be Fuerteventura if we need to. Now, let's just talk about that sort of scenario. Let's say in the highly unlikely event that that something happens on the runway in Fuerteventura, what we're going to do, where we're going to go. Let's think about that. So yeah, let me just have a look. Let's get the tablet in there. So need to be aware of this then. We know CNR is 3.3, yeah? We've got that there, it's at the top of the screen. We need to have at least 3.3 tons in the aircraft when we decide that we're going to divert. That means then we can get to our alternate Fuerteventura and land above final reserve fuel still in the tanks. So what happens then if something happens at Fuerteventura? What are we going to do? Where are we going to go? Let's see. I mean, the plan would probably be to go and have a look first of all at the differences in fuel here. So this is the page there. These are all the alternates. Sorry, I've got a bit of a real life situation going off at the minute, so I'm having to keep texting my wife about something. Yeah, so just come back to this now. Yeah, so these are all the alternates that we've got. We've got Fuerteventura, which is our primary alternate. We've got Porto Santo, which is the island obviously just next to Madeira. And then we've got Gran Canaria, and we've got Porto. No, we haven't. We've got Lisbon. And, oh, flipping heck. Right, just bear with me a minute, guys. 1 second. Sorry about this. Oh, sorry about this, guy. Let me just catch you up with real world problems at the minute. So my parents are moving house. The removal truck has arrived today. They are now trying to obviously load everything up, and they have lost the keys for the conservatory. I'm wondering if one of our beautiful mischievous triplet girls has somehow taken them and stuffed them in their bag or pockets, and somehow they've managed to get into our house. So yeah, that's the problem I've got going on in real life at the moment. Yeah. It's easier to fly to Madeira. Right, shall we try and get back on track with what's happening here? I have found a set of keys though, and I have no idea where they belong to, so maybe. Maybe. Yeah, Oliver, that's exactly right. The wind at Madeira is nothing compared to the challenge of triplets. Mischievous things. Alright, so let's sort this out. Bacchus, how did I not get out of helping with the heavy stuff? Because they've hired a team of people to go and do it. that's how. Alright, so let's see. The fuel that's required then for all of these. Well, if Fuerteventura gets knackered for whatever reason, I'm sure it won't, but if it did, then the alternates we've got left available, we've got Porto Santo, Gran Canaria, and of course back to Lisbon. Now, Porto Santo is okay, there's no limitations there, but what's the weather going to be like? Well, let's find out, shall we? Let's see currently what's happening at Porto Santo. So if we just have a quick look here, just sign out of the ATSO menu on there. LPPS, send that off. Right, so Porto Santo's got wind 010 at 18. Now that actually is pretty fine. You know, that looks doable. I'm not sure what the runway configuration is at Porto Santo, but I'm sure it's within limits. Oh yeah, there you go then. So getting in on that is pretty assured, isn't it? So, yeah, I mean, Porto Santo's is okay actually. It's not usually used as a primary alternate because when the winds at Madeira are rubbish in Funchal, they're usually a bit rubbish here as well. But they're almost straight down the nose of the runway, so that is a good option, I think. I suppose particularly as the winds in Funchal aren't sort of forecast to be rubbish all day. So if they do get up, they're probably not going to stay up for very long. So that would be a good that would be a good potential. And if we decide to work with that, well then we've got an extra 1,577 tons of fuel to play with. So that CNR, that magic number of 3.3 tons, you could almost say, well, actually, we're not going to go to Fuerteventura. We're going to go to Porto Santo instead because the winds are actually fine. The weather's fine there. There's no reason we can't get in. Which means then that we could spend a bit more time holding in the hope of getting in to Funchal. How much time? Well, we could wait until we got around 1.8 tons, because 3.3 minus that 1. Let's call it 1.6 actually, minus 1.6 gives you 1.7 tons. So we've got 1.7 tons would then be our new CNR if we decided to get down to Porto Santo. So a bit of extra fuel to play around with if that is the case. I reckon passengers might be a little bit happier as well if that is the case, because then it means that they aren't actually that far away from their holiday destination. Interesting as well, now we're also about to cross the echo time point as well, so this is sort of the midway point between Funchal and Porto where we departed. We could actually update that, so if we went to the echo time point on here, because technically Lisbon's a little bit closer, so if we pop that in there, what you might see is the echo time point will just jump a little bit further forward. Yeah, there we go, look. Danny, they can swim to Funchal. Robert, with the Airbus, do you ever need to transfer fuel between the tanks? Yeah, so there is a procedure for doing that if you've got a fuel imbalance. I mean, you don't have to do that if there's just a few, a few kilograms between them. If we have a look now, I mean, there's 20 kilograms left in the left and the right hand side. That's no biggie. But you know, if you're gonna sort of get 300 kilogram, 400 kilogram, then it might be time to start thinking about it. The only time that would happen is perhaps maybe if you just sat burning fuel, you're running the APU for ages and ages. Oh, FMA, thanks for that. Didn't realise I got that going on. Yeah, I'm trying to have 4 conversations at once with my wife, my parents, and the first officer. And you guys as well, of course, so I apologise for that. God, I hope they find these keys. Yeah, so if the flight planning, if the tablet was up just as I did that, so we just updated the echo time point to between Lisbon and Madeira rather than Porto Madeira, because Lisbon's a little bit closer, so that echo time point now has just jumped a little bit further forward. So then let's have a look what we need to do for this particular landing. We'll go and check that out in a moment. We can see actually it looks like it's quite breezy anyway. Look at the sea, the ocean. Normally when you're flying you'll see that it's pretty flat. There it doesn't look flat, so clearly there's definitely some wind going on.
In just a few moments, we'll commence our in-flight service, offering you the chance to purchase from our selection of fresh food available today. Full details can be found in your in-flight brochure. We accept payment in pounds, euros, most major currencies, and debit or credit cards. The correct change would be greatly appreciated. And if we can be of any further assistance, then just ask us as we join you in the cabin shortly.
Bacchius, I wouldn't say I'm very good at multitasking. Far from it, to be honest with you. Right, let's have a look then at the approach that we're going to be doing. So we're going to be doing an RNP approach, but it's authorization required. We do have the authorization to do it. Easyjet didn't always have the authorization to do this, so they had to do sort of like the visual circle to land. Now they've got a beautiful RNP, which takes a bit of fun out of it, but it does mean there's a lot more paperwork to go through. So let's have a look at this. So we're going to be using approach using final approach and RNP AR. So RNP approaches require specific plane certified avionic equipment, which, to be honest, the Neos are. Not a lot of the older models are, but the Fenix is. So we're able to do it. So there you go. A320 Neos and 321 Neos are certified. Some A320 COs are also certified. So we're just going to pretend that this aircraft is one of those some. So what we need to be able, these are minimum equipments needed to be able to start this approach. We need 2 FMGCs, which we have, 2 McDo's, which we have, 2 flight directors, 1 autopilot at least, 1 autopilot or 2 autopilots if RMP is less than 0.3 required on this approach is less than 1 nautical mile. What's the chart say for this? INAV 1. So it's okay, and INAV, so that's all right. Yeah, this is fine. 2 GPS, 2 fax. Yeah. So basically, we haven't lost anything. We've got all of this stuff, so we're able to do it. MEL status is just the weather radar. We've not got that, so that's not going to be a problem. So we actually need to check something. We need to check that there are actually enough satellites in space, sort of giving us good GPS signals to be able to make the approach. This is normally done on the ground before you depart. What we can do is obviously pilots can send a little message to back to operations to say, hey, can you just check that all the satellites are working? So if we want to check this out. Total satellites currently working 34. That's fine, because what did we need? Was it 24? I said we needed. Yeah, we needed 24 healthy satellites. We've got more than that, so that's fine. So approach minimums, we'll sort that out. Navigate deselection, if none of them are working, they're always working. So get the weather and landing information. It's not very cold, so some procedures you can't do if it's too cold. And then we'll basically go set up all the stuff like we would do for a normal approach, which we'll go and do in a moment. Pilot, what time's the ETA? It's at the top of the flight, my friend. Hey, and is there any way of getting the document that you've just seen on screen? Yeah, absolutely. So it's available on our Discord server in the pilot's briefing room. Planes and stuff, what's my favourite airline livery? I think that changes on almost a day-to-day basis. I really like, you know, it's not a real livery. I love that new headwind livery that they've got on the A330. The headwinds, sort of like the headwind house colours. I think that looks beautiful. Have a look at that if you haven't already seen it. So I'll go and set the box up in a little while. It's not that long, this flight, is it? Let's have a look at just the memory items for the wind shear, because obviously wind shear is a good possibility on days like today. And if you saw the go around that the Easyjet did recently, the live stream at Madeira, chances are, well, it might not have been wind shear. It was just, it looked like a very destabilized approach. But wind shear memory items, when we're landing, we basically obviously need to. Well, we're going to go around. We're not going to carry on. So obviously that's Toga, and just having a look at. And if we've got the autopilot on, we keep that on. We don't sort of let that go and let the aircraft fly that wind shear. Don't change the configuration of the aircraft either. So hopefully if we can get it, we'll be on the ground in about an hour or so. So I will brief those in a bit more detail. So we've got thrust levers. We need to set that to Toga. If the autopilot's engaged, we'll keep it. SRS follow, and then we need to announce that wind shear Toga. We'll climb out of that. Hey, Sassahorn. Easyjet do have a virtual airline, but I don't. I'm not part of it, so. Right, let's make sure that the box matches what we've got. Obviously, that's quite important. So this starts at Pilim. So 528, 526, 522. 520, 502, and then runway 05. That's fine. So all the coding's there, the speeds are fine as well. RadNav page will pop in a bit of fun. So that's just there for a bit of situational awareness. The cloud shouldn't be an issue today, so we should have a nice visual with the runway. Alexander, you're currently flying the Headwind A320 from Copenhagen over to New. Excellent. That is a beautiful flight. What's that, about 7.5 hours, something like that? GD, the Phoenix always has a higher altitude set around approaching waypoints with the red asterisk against the published altitude. What do you normally do? Right, so that's quite a good question, because what you need to remember is all these altitudes here on the right hand side are the altitudes that the aircraft is going to be at, not what it needs to be at. So basically the magenta is sort of a constraint, and if it doesn't think it's going to meet a constraint, these values, these little asterisks, will be yellow or orange. So you don't need to worry about it until you start to see some of the yellow, the orange little stars, asterisks. If they're magenta, they're fine. That's okay. But yeah, the values you see here are the values that the aircraft flight guidance computer expects you to be at, given your current descent profile that you've got in there. So RadNav's done. Progress page, we're going to put in LPMA05. So that's in there as well. Oh, didn't put the cost index back. Right, so let's put in the most recent METAR that we have. So the most recent one is 350 at 16. Let's check. Oh! Right. Technically, that is out of limits. Now, there is a little caveat to this. So, that METAR was 8 minutes ago. So, the METAR is currently reporting 350 at 16, which means, yeah, you're not allowed to start the approach. It's out of limits. In the real world, of course, what pilots can do is they can sort of radio the ground controller and say, you know, can you give us a wind update? Give us a wind report. If they say that, yeah, it's still 350 at 16, then no, can't start the approach. But, you know, in the real world, the winds might just dial down a little bit. Remember, METARs are only updated every 30 minutes or so. So, if you contact sort of the air traffic control and they say, oh yeah, it's now dropped, it's now 350 at 15. Well, that's a green light. Let's have a go. Let's try and get in. You know, what's the worst that can happen? We end up going around and entering the hold at Munich. So, if the winds are there, 350 at 16, and they're okay, might be worth having a go. Let's see what time it is when we get there and when the next METAR's due. If the next METAR's due for an update, you know, in 2 or 3 minutes, we might just do a hold at Pillim. Just go around a couple of times, see what happens, and then see if it drops. If it starts to increase, well, then we'll have a rethink. But yeah, let's just keep an eye on that. So let's continue to fill out the box. So the current METAR is 350 at 16. QNH is 1023. Temperature 21 degrees. It's nice. Visibility is fine. Fuel class 1500. Alright, so also just check the minimums here. Runway visual range is above 1700. and we can do RMP 0.1. If we'd have got RMP 0.3, you need a higher minimums, but we can use 520. There we go. Alright, so that's filled in. Fuel prediction page. Now let's have a look at our landing weight then. So, we did a dispatch landing weight calculation. Let's just do an arriving one. So, runway 05. It's dry. Just refresh that meta, apply the meta, and now landing weight is looking to be, estimated fuel on board when we get there is 5.7. Our zero fuel weight was 58.4. So I did a dispatch landing calculation with 64 tons. That's going 64.1. Let's have a look at 64.5. Now, that's auto brake low and flaps full. With the winds as they are, flaps 3 would be a better idea, also reduces workload. We can also get in there, look, auto brake low and flap 3 says that we'll get in. So, I think that's a good plan. So, let's update, sorry, I've just realised you can't see that. Yeah, so that's what I've just updated, look. That's 64.5 tons, auto brake low, flaps 3, the most recent METAR, a nice 14 knot crosswind just there. There's something that looks very wrong about that. That crosswind looks like it's coming from the wrong direction on that picture, doesn't it? Crosswind should surely be coming from the left, not the right. Oh well, never mind. Yeah, so that's fine. I can get in. So, config 3. And might even be worth just adding 5 knots to our approach speed. So let's go 14. Let's go, oh, not 418. Let's go 148. And then, just because we have increased that, I'm going to use auto brake medium. So the aircraft is set up, and we're pretty good now for to do an arrival brief. So let's go through a full brief then, and start the starting with the weather as always. So as we've just discussed, winds currently 350 at 16, varying 320 to 020. So technically it's 1 knot out of the limits, but we could potentially give that a go unless it starts to get worse, and see what happens. Fuel clouds 1,500 feet, so not concerned about those. And temperature is 21, QNH is 1023. I'm just going to go set that. So they're done. Aircraft is still all working with no weather radar, but that's never stopped us before. It's not going to be an issue today though, so that's fine. No times for the arrival. Threats to be aware of, yeah, wind and wind shear, in particularly wind shear. So if we do get wind shear, and then it's going to be toga. We'll leave the autopilot in, and yeah, go around. We'll leave the configuration alone. Once we're safe, then we'll start to retract flaps and landing gear, etc. So that's probably our biggest threat: the wind and the wind shear. All right, let's talk about how we're going to do the approach then. So we're on the are we on the Lidro star today? I think it's Lidro. Yeah, Lidro 1 Papa arrival. So when we start to get down, we'll get to our top of descent, and probably select something like 10,000 feet. Transition altitude in Madeira is 5,000 feet. The platform altitude for the start of the approach, 2,000 feet. MSA as we're coming in is 2.9, but then obviously it becomes a lot higher as well on that final approach because we've got the terrain. Probably didn't mention that actually in the threats, did I? But I think we're all familiar with it. So obviously the terrain to the west of the airport is also a threat, something we want to avoid. Minimums as well is 520. Final approach track is 049, airfield elevation 146, and the go around altitude is 3,000 feet. So how are we going to fly the approach? Well, obviously I've said I'll get down to 10,000 feet. Depending on what the weather's doing, we'll either hold at Pilum, or if we're happy to continue, we shall leave Pilum, and then we're going to get configured. We want to be green dot well before that, sort of 528, and then before we get to 526, I mean maybe a little bit after 526 if we need to, then we can be gear down and flaps, well we can be gear down and flaps 3 before we start at 526 going round. We want to be sort of fully configured before we go down, so this won't be a destabilized approach. Gear down, flaps 3, which point landing checklist will have been done, stuff like that, so that reduces workload management, again using a flaps 3 arrival instead of flaps 4, because we're not waiting for that final bit before doing the landing checklist. And that's it, and then we're obviously just going to monitor, and it's all going to be done in final approach mode, so 2,000 feet at 526, and then final approach mode to take us all the way around and down. So that is the plan. Of course, then if something goes wrong, we're not happy, wind shear, etc., we're going to obviously toga, keep the configuration the same, and leave autopilot in, and obviously pull away nice and safe, and we should have the go around track in the box as well. I'll check that in a moment, and then we'll enter the hold up Monarch, and then we'll decide what it is we're going to do. So just check that go around track is in there. Yeah, there it is. So let's go through the box, make sure that the box is set up for the approach we want to do. Libero 1 Popper, we've gone through, checked all the waypoints, they're fine. Radnav is choose the Funchal VOR, we've got Palmer 05 in the progress page. So we've increased back 148, transition altitude 5,000 feet. Minimums 520, we're doing a config 3 landing today, cleans 230. I say we've increased that just because of the winds that we've got this morning. We're looking to land at around 64.5 tons. Was it 64.5 tons? Yeah, 64.5 tons. That's what I've done our landing calculation based on, which is close to maximum landing weight actually. We're not going to be that heavy, but just for, well, you can see now we're at 64.6, so we're definitely going to be lower than that, but it's just nice to know that we've been conservative with the landing calculations and we're going to get in okay. And then secondary flight plan, same as the active flight plan. If we get down, then where are we going? That's pretty straightforward, to be honest, so we'll just get in. If we can get off at Bravo, that's great. If not, we'll turn around, come back, backtrack, and park in front of the terminal, say thank you very much. See you next time. So I think we've covered all eventualities. Hey Chris Cooks, right, just coming back into the chat now, I've been going through all that. I'm not in any virtual airline, no, it's not something I've ever really looked into because, I'm not going to commit to anything, or I don't want to log anything and have other bits of software sort of attached. I've got enough going on really with streams and stuff, so probably not required. Top of descent is about 40 miles, Brian. Alexander, do you get wind shear alerts in the Phoenix? I'll be honest, Alex, I've never seen one. So I guess if one comes today, we'll find out together. Tim did the island's a bloody nightmare. Landing to experience as a passenger. It depends if the wind's like. Hopefully it'll be okay today, and we'll get in. So we should get an updated METAR in about 10 minutes. We'll see what that says. Danny, you imagine passengers flying in and out of here know what to expect. It depends, I suppose, if it's their first time, Danny. Also, probably depends on, you know, are they interested in aviation? Do they care? Do they know what an airport's like? I expect most people who are watching this now know about Madeira and what to expect, but, you know, if you've never been there before and you don't really care, it's just a method of getting from A to B, then who knows? Maybe not. GD, where do you enter the hold speed when asked by the MFC at holding? You just want to be at green dot, really. That's the best place to hold. It's the most fuel efficient place to hold. And we've got an aircraft just out there, about 10 miles left of us. Can we see them? Have they got a contrail? So just looking at what fuel we've got at the moment, we've got about 6 tons there, or 6.1. We're burning about 2 tons an hour, so what's that? We've got about 3 hours endurance at the moment. Elliot, you've just been asked to cover for someone at work for a whole week on top of your usual drive time show. Your poll. Listen, there'll only be you there, Elliot. It's going to be called the Elliot Woodford Railway, the Elliot Woodford radio station. GD, you don't need to enter it. Just, I'm not in a hold at the moment, so I can't go onto those. But you can enter speeds. You can enter them, any of them. So if you, well, I'm not going to enable the hold, but if you use the right side key you can enter speeds there, but just enter green dot speed and you'll be fine. Dan, you think crews might keep passengers updated? I would expect so. You know, on a day like today it might be worth making a bit of a PA and saying, you know, ladies and gentlemen, we're about 10 miles away from the top of our descent. We're going to start heading down to Madeira. The winds aren't looking great today, but hopefully we're going to get a chance to have a go at trying to get the aircraft in. But obviously, if at any point it becomes looking like it's not going to work, then we'll most likely have to perform a go around. This is perfectly normal, it's perfectly safe, so if we do go around, don't worry too much about it. Everything's absolutely fine, but we just want you to be aware that there is a chance that that might happen if we can't get in on our first attempt. So, you know, something like that just lets the passengers know what to expect, cabin crew know what to expect. So yeah, just always better, I think, to prepare passengers in circumstances where something a bit abnormal might happen. You know, go around to a pilot is just a normal thing, but to a passenger it's probably not. GD, if you're on our Discord, if you can send some pictures through, then we'll probably be able to help with what it is you're trying to do. Chris Packett, looking at a new system, budget isn't endless. No, I know that feeling. I have the same setup. Yeah, you can also check the About page on the YouTube channel as well, and that will let you know what my current setup is that I'm streaming on today. Alright, let's get down. So, thrust idle, descent, and 100 blue. This is it. down we go, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck once again, you will be delighted to hear that we will shortly be starting our descent into our destination, at which point the cabin crew will start preparing for our arrival. If you could please make sure that all the aisles are clear and the cabin crew are able to make their way around the aircraft without any luggage in the aisles, that would be most appreciated. A reminder for our Easyjet pilot members that free drinks are still available from the cabin crew until the seatbelt signs are turned on. Please note, however, that the toilets will shortly go out of use. Thank you.
Ooh, a lovely hot cup of tea, which I remembered this morning. Hi, Diffie. Sadly not. Eyesight's not good enough. So, Carl, is the divert to Porto Santo? Well, you know, that's just one option at the moment. We actually, you know, we're in a very, very good place. Porto Santo winds are good. Getting in there is going to be okay. We've got loads of fuel. We threw loads on. We'd have plenty of fuel to be able to get back and get to our alternate, which is where's that? It's Fuerteventura, isn't it? So, if we needed to divert, we've just got lots of options available, which is exactly what you want. You want lots of options available. You don't want to see those options getting ticked off and crossed out. I mean, if we wanted to go back to Lisbon, for example, you know, take the aircraft back to the mainland, then, you know, when would be the decision time to do that? Well, CNR is 3.3, and if we just have a look at getting back into Lisbon, we'd need an extra, let's call it 1.3 tons to land below final, above final reserves. So we'd need 4.5 tons in the tanks to get back to Lisbon safely. Now, what have we got at the moment? We've got 6 tons in there, so that's absolutely fine. Carl says there's no hotels on Porto Santo. Really? That can't be right, can it? I thought it was a holiday destination. Because Easyjet do fly there as well. So what altitude is this thinking we're going to get to Pillim at? Let's have a quick look. 7.7. Okay. That's the other thing as well. If we do decide to hold for whatever reason, then do we really want to hold at sort of 7,000 feet, something like that? No. In fact, the maximum holding flight level is 10,000, minimum is 3, so you obviously want to hold higher because less fuel burn. Holding for an hour at 3,000 feet, that's going to burn a lot of fuel. That's not going to make the pencil pushers happy. Danny, what's the sequence of meteo reports into Madeira? I get that they can also ask for wind reports very frequently, every half an hour or hour. Well, the last one was at 1100 Zulu, so is there a new one out? Let's see if there's a new one out. Because it's just past 1130 Zulu, hasn't it? They've not updated it yet. So I don't know how often they do it, actually. Danny, also, you would hold until the winds maybe go down, but for us the sim it only updates every 30 minutes, and we can't really ask for wind, so that's going to be a long holding. Well, this is why, Danny, obviously, we can't do exactly like the real world. where you would ask the controllers, do you know what, have the winds died down at all? Is it, you know, are they sort of within limits for us to have a go? So what we can do is we could just have a go, and as we're kind of, you know, as we're kind of going down at this stage just here, then what we can do is we can just look at the navigation display and see what the wind's showing us. And if it's out of limits, then around we go. Scotty2 said the Ryanair last week held at 10,000 feet, then went back to Lisbon. Yeah, it's not uncommon. It's not uncommon. And you know, if those winds do get up, then in real life a bit later today, just check out Flight Radar 24, and you might see them. You might see them holding, or indeed diverting. Jedi and John, thank you for the follow on Twitch, guys. Hope you're both well. We've just passed 3,100 followers now on Twitch, so thank you, guys. Appreciate that. Right, so what we're going to do now is I'm just going to pull speed, and I'm going to just go into open descent. If we can just get below that profile a little bit, that's going to be fine. Just wind that speed up a little bit, actually. Just to get down, and then we've got time to, as I say, this wants to be a stabilised approach, so we need to make sure that we've bled off speed and we're all good. Nick, getting a jam and toast tea and doing some great work on Twitch for me. Thank you, Nick. Could do with the primary flight display not bugging out on me though. Akim, why may you ask Easyjet? Just because I'm familiar with their standard operating procedures, really. No other reason.
Ladies and gentlemen, take full advantage of your tax-free allowances today and make some amazing savings with our boutique range. In your in-flight brochure, you'll find details of our award-winning selection of gifts, most with massive discounts, some of which are exclusive to you as an Easyjet customer. Make the most of your opportunity to shop and save from the comfort of your seat. If you'd like to see any products, have any questions, or would like to make great savings, then just ask us as we join you in the cabin shortly.
Right, it's time to start then focusing on what we're doing, concentrating on the approach. Danny, Jet 2 diverted from Glasgow to Funchal, Jet 2 going from Glasgow to Funchal, diverted to LPA, then tried to get into Funchal again, diverted to PXO, then took off there, went straight into the hold for 2.5 hours where it diverted to LPA, then it finally gave up and went back home to Glasgow. Oh God, who would want to be on that, who would want to be on there? Brit Bear, CNR on the OFP. Right, so CNR is company normal reserve. Basically, that is the number at which, if your fuel gets to that number, you need to commit to somewhere. Where are you going? Are you getting into your destination, or are you diverting to your alternate? Because if you divert after you've got to that number, you're going to probably be landing below your final reserve fuel, which is not good. It does look a bit windy down there as well, guys. Right, let's get the belts on.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has turned on the fasten seatbelt sign. If you could please return to your seats and ensure that your seatbelt is securely fastened. If you are traveling with an infant, please ensure that they are secured safely using these seatbelt signs. Please contact a member of the cabin.
Zero traffic Ryanair 72 Mike Juliet 5000 feet or now Zulu 05.
And mid-air traffic Alpine 12 Bravo Juliet is 10 miles out from Mike Alpha 534. Lead route 1 Papa arrival, expecting the RNAV Zulu for runway 05, 12,000, flight level 120. Oh, Danny. Is that the latest weather? 350 at 60... Oh no, I'm still looking at the late one. 350 at 19, gusting 31. Ouch. Right, well 350 at 19, gusting 31 is well beyond the limits. So we're going to enter the hold at Pillim for a little bit. I'm going to push the level off there at 10,000. Pop down to manage speed, thrust climb, open climb. And let's just hold for a moment. Okay, so it's worth doing. I've got time to do this today, so we might as well. So we're going to enter the hold. The published hold is inbound track 226 right turns. So we've got that 226 right turns and insert. So there we are. And we might as well slow to green dot because it saves fuel. So let's go activate the approach phase, pop that in. So there we go. Funchal traffic Alpine 12 Bravo Juliet is entering the hold at Pillim and 10,000 feet. Okay, so we're now in the hold.
72 Mike Juliet, we're downwind 05.
And aircraft on downwind for runway 05 at Funchal. Any chance you'll be able to just grab the winds for us and report after you've landed on final, please? Alpine 12 Bravo Juliet.
No problem, sir. We'll go around our dot 72 Mike Juliet.
Thank you. Good luck. Right, we're going to stay in the hold. Let's see if the Ryanair. Let's see if the Ryanair gets in. So we're just going to sit here now and sit happy. Let's see what fuel we've got. We've got 5.9, so we're miles away from CNR. We've also still got enough to get back to Lisbon if we wanted. CNR for that would have been around 4.5 tons. So we've got loads of fuel available. So we're just going to sit here in the hold and see what happens. Let's wait and see if that Ryanair gets in, and he can also report the winds to us as well, which on final, which is basically like a, I suppose it's best we're going to get for a tower report. Looks like Nick says in the chat there, sadly we don't get those. Lemon Wolf, the Ryanair will land no matter what. Well, fair play to him. If he can get down, he's happy. Good on him, yeah. Now bear in mind as well, we're quite high, so we would need to descend in the hold. I've just leveled off at 10,000. This is the maximum hold altitude for this place. And if we are going to start an approach, we're going to descend in the hold before we go, because obviously we're above the profile at the moment. And Jordan Benson, whilst we're in the hold here, gifting 1 Easyjet Sim Pilot Channel membership. Jordan, thank you so much for your continued support, mate. Really do appreciate that. Thank you so much. Dan320, welcome to channel membership. You can see how windy it actually looks down there. Scotty is requesting a 200-foot flyby over a field, I think. Probably only at air shows. I mean, I do feel it's actually quite nice to do this. This is a realistic thing to do.
Mike Juliet, short final 05, headwind 20 knots.
So he's got a headwind on his short final of 20 knots. Now, if he's short final, presumably he's somewhere around here. So a headwind of 20 knots is probably out of limits, just looking at the direction he'll be travelling. Hey Kuvox, what gear do I have? So I've got the Thrustmaster TCA Captain's Pack for the Airbus. The side stick, thrust levers, spoilers, flaps, etc. Really nice bit of kit. Really nice bit of kit. This is certainly the first time we've ever had to hold due to weather on the stream. So. Carl, is it the chart that's showing you max wind limitations, or is it the Easyjet SOP? No, this is the actual chart. So these are the chart limitations. So these are for all airlines. So even as and when we do get to have a go, you're quite right, Pedro. It's probably going to be a challenging approach.
Madeira traffic, Posca 91 Hotel Lima, entering hold at Bilim flight level 120 to traffic and wind.
Just going to wait to hear from that Ryanair now.
Funchal traffic, Ryanair 72, Mike Juliet, backtrack 05.
And to the Ryanair on backtrack. Any chance you caught the winds around the threshold? Alpine 12 Bravo Juliet.
Yeah, pretty much a direct headwind, about 18 knots.
Many thanks, Alpine 12 Bravo Juliet. Right, so he's got a headwind. He's got a headwind at 18 knots. That then, well, that would be within limits, yeah. So that is kind of thing now. The tower could report that and say, yeah, okay, so we've got the METAR winds, but just at the moment we've kind of got a headwind 18 knots. So we might as well have a go, hadn't we? We might as well have a go. So let's descend in the hold a little bit and see what we can do. Emitted traffic Alpine 12 Bravo Juliet in the hold at Pilim, flight level 100, and we're going to be descending 5,000 in the hold. Alpine 12 Bravo Juliet. Okay, thrust idle open descent, and local pressure 1023, 5,000 blue. Right, we'll just sit and get down. And once we're down, we'll continue with the approach. So yeah, Woodbread. Sorry, yeah, we are doing the circle land. Once we, well, it's actually it's not official circle land. It's now a RNPAR approach. But we're in a holding pattern to land. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, so we are in the holding pattern. We've got loads of fuel. Ideally, the company would probably want us to get back to Lisbon. You know, it's a base. Can we do that? Well, we can only do that if we've got 4.5 tons. That's our that's sort of our CNR for that. Brian, we've got loads of fuel, but does the cabin crew ever see our own beer levels? Oh, Scotty, how many takes for the... Oh, God knows. Okay, so we're now low enough. Let's exit the hold. So let's go direct fill him. That's the hold out of it, and that's it. We're going to start and do this approach. So 5,000 feet. That's fine. Coca Market, yeah. So the Canary Islands are a great diversion place. So we've got Alt Star there, and now Alt. But just as sort of what the company will want, because Lisbon is a base, if you can get the jet back to Lisbon, it's better for them in terms of aircraft positioning and that kind of thing. Having a random aircraft over in the Canaries somewhere is all right, but if you can get back to the mainland and a main base, then that's going to be fine. Wonderbread, what was stopping us from landing? Yeah, it was the wind.
Yeah,
it was just the winds. They were out of limits to start the approach. However, we've just heard from a Ryanair pilot that did get in and gave us a wind report, and the winds were within limits for that, so we're going to have a go. Right, so we need to be at 2,000 feet at 526. We've got 526 here. We also need to slow down as well. So a nice steady VS will probably help us with that. So let's go and just select a nice steady descent. So about 1,000 feet per minute. That'll give us time to slow down as well. So VS 1,000, 2,000 blue. Pilot Tim, how many attempts? So company SOP says you can have 2 goes if it's due to winds. So L. Peter on Twitch has just reported, are those live winds by any chance, Peter? 23 knots, gusting 35. Runway 05 is 350, 18, gusting 30. Yes. So we can have a go. I mean, technically those winds you've just reported are out of limits, but the winds we've just heard sort of in the simulator from another pilot who's just done this were within limits. I mean, they're not always going to be exactly the same, are they? But it's worth seeing, and we know what we need to do. We know there's a chance we won't get in. We know we might need to go around and stuff. So, yeah. Funchal traffic Alpine 12 Bravo Juliet is now over Mike Alpha 528, descending 2,000 feet for the RMP Zulu approach from 05. Yeah, Ash says, good night, Ash. Girlfriend screaming at him to go to sleep. Giving her a name check as well.
Cabin crew, about 15 minutes to landing. If you prepare the cabin, thank you.
Good night, Ash. Come back and check tomorrow if we got in or not. Right, let's start configuring. So flaps 1, speeds checked. Flaps 1. Got a tailwind as well at the moment, which is quite strong. Leo, I used the realistic turbulence setting, yeah. Thrust idle open descent. Flaps 2, speeds check, flaps 2.
Traffic Posca 91 Hotel Lima descending 5000 holding at the...
Ladies and gentlemen, we will shortly be landing.
Hopefully.
Please ensure your cabin bag is safely stowed with your laptop inside. Your tray table must be stowed, armrests down, and window blind open. You now need to be seated with your seatbelt fastened, ready for landing.
Gear down.
Help us by handing in any rubbish, newspapers, or magazines that you do not want to take with you. The toilets are no longer in service. So we've just done the approach on the FCU. There we go. Alt final is blue. Approach nav. Yeah, look at the water. Look at the white capping of the water. That tells a story. If you are enjoying the stream, guys, please do us a huge favour and just hit that like button on the stream. Peter, yeah, sometimes we'll try and land in the wind gap. The problem is, of course, we don't get that in the simulator. So we kind of have to just be a bit, sort of...
1,000.
Oh, why have we gone down to 1,000? We should be at 2,000. That was bad piloting. Open climb. I mean, I think the minimums there was something like 968, so we're still safe, but we wanted 2,000 at this point. We'll pick up the approach nav anyway in a moment. I think that was a sticky FCU that caught us out there. Now listen to those engines spooling up and down, up and down. And speed alt star. I mean, technically, when you're doing the visual for this rather than the RMP, then it'd be a lot easier from the right-hand seat. Except it's a captain's only landing, so no, they can't do it. So we should start to go down at 522, which is here. I should start to see that scale come down in a moment. Here it is. And flaps 3. Landing checklist. Cabin secured, go around altitude. We can't set just yet until we've got this, but it is 3,000 feet. So we'll run that checklist again in a moment. There we go. Final approach is set. So go around altitude 3,000 feet is set. Ecam memo landing no blue. Let's monitor everything and pray for good weather. Okay, we'll keep an eye on the winds. Yeah, we know we've got terrain ahead. We can see it. We can see it. Bit of a spurious warning, that. Remember, if you need to go around toga, leave everything engaged. Do not change the config of the aircraft until we're out of wind shear conditions. Good spot, Tim. Except autopilot 2 doesn't work unless it's an ILS approach, I'm afraid. So look at the speed of the aircraft as well. There we go. We've got headwind in on the navigation display at the moment, which is fine. Although the max headwind here is 20 knots, gusts of 30 allowed. So probably still pushing those limits. So about 1,000 feet. Autopilot is still on.
Above.
Okay, I think we're happy. So, autopilot R5 control. Winds from the left.
$50. 40, 20, retard, 5.
Come on, get down. Oh, down, but not the greatest. So we've got spoilers deployed, reverse green, decel, manual brakes. Let's get off.
Ladies and gentlemen, the cabin crew will shortly be leaving their seats to perform safety-related duties. However, we ask that you remain seated until the fasten seatbelt sign has been switched off. Portable electronic devices for messaging, calls, or internet access may now be used. Please make sure that you take all your personal belongings with you, checking in the seat pocket, underneath the seat, and in the overhead lockers. Do take care when opening the lockers.
Mid-area traffic runway 05 vacated.
Smoking is not permitted until you reach a designated smoking area. On behalf of the captain and the crew, it has been our pleasure looking after you today. Our ground crew will help you complete your Easyjet journey. For the latest news, promotions, flight and destination information, check out our official Facebook page, Twitter, or Easyjet.
Under traffic Porto 91 Hotel Lima, exiting hold at speeding for RMP Zulu runway 05 approach.
Yeah, we'll have a look at the replay. Wasn't the best landing, really wasn't. Should I have gone around? I suppose that's arguable. We'll have a look. We've got the beauty of the sim, haven't we? So we can hit the replay and see what happened. Let's just get on stand. Passengers will be happy, we're down. But it was bumpy, wasn't it? it was one of those approaches which to me looked like it's okay, we're going to make it, then oh dear, then oh no, actually no, it's okay, we're going to make it, then oh dear, by which point we then got down. So, but I suppose from a flight point of view, hopefully this has been a good screen showing, you know, how you can sort of plan to divert if we need to, what things to think about, how you work with the fuel and that kind of thing. There must be a bit of a terrain glitch at this airport because it's not very flat.
Moderate traffic runway 1 which call for short final 05.
Danny, yeah, I'll tell you exactly why we drifted. So, as a bit of a sort of debrief to that, because we had strong winds coming in from the left, the moment I started putting the right rudder in, we started to drift, and it was due to that then the picture didn't look great. We'll have a look at the replay in a minute, see what it looks like. But yeah, so let's just keep the engines running. We'll keep the config in place, and let's have a look from a passenger perspective. Before we do that, then let's just disconnect off VATSIM. So that's gone. And let's have a rewind, shall we? See what it looked like. Oh yes, very, very bumpy. Very bumpy. So for the instant replay like this, I use Sky Dolly. Great little app. Really nice. Sunny Sunny, this is a handcrafted airport. This is a Zobo's handcrafted airport though. There are some payware versions also available. AJ, when you do the replay with Sky Dolly, your engine's always off. That's why I've not shut mine down, AJ. You have to keep them there. A320 geeks, yeah, I do need to update them. They don't take money anymore, for one thing. Hey Mike Palmer, I do always seem to fly the Fenix just because it's the aircraft I know. Really loving the Headwind A330 at the moment though as well. I think that's a really nice aircraft. So obviously based on the fly-by-wire system, so they continue to do amazing work. Hey James Price Aviation. So the thing that I wasn't happy with regarding that landing was just the centre line. The centre line was way off. I mean, we were still on the runway, but you know, if I could do it again, then centre line would be the main thing screaming at me. But you can see how we're bobbing around all over the place there. We get very close to that runway edge there, look. Before we get back where we should be. Ash, you resisted your girlfriend's attempt to sleep. Good to see you, Ash. Let's see what the other side is like. The other side looks really nice coming in because you get obviously quite close to the terrain. Look. That roundabout, I wouldn't want to drive on that road. Yeah, just there it started to drift as we put the rudder in just to level up. We started to drift, and It's hard to... There's that centre line, though. You can see how far out we were from the centre line. Touchdown zone's fine, so... Touchdown zone, touchdown rate good, but centre line not great. Back here with Skydolly. No, you don't need to start it at your departure. I literally fired it up sort of on the approach, really. So let's just have a quick look then at this landing. Yeah, so we were on the runway, it's safe. If I just disconnect the drone follow mode there, and we'll just have a quick look at how this worked. See what this looked like. Madeira plane spotting camera. Yeah, a little wobble there, see it? I mean, ultimately, apart from that that centre line, we can be relatively happy with that, I think. I'll take it anyway. Right, guys. Well, we made it down. We made it down, which is always a bonus. Passengers will be happy. Hopefully, you guys are happy as well. No, I know you're not really. You wanted to see a diversion and go around and all them kind of things. Shoe Gaming, thank you so much for the Prime sub on Twitch. Really do appreciate your support, mate. Thank you so much. So, thank you for watching. I hope you have enjoyed our live stream this morning, getting into Funchal. I'm going to leave you with one final replay before we go. Huge shout out to our new channel members, those that have donated as well. Thank you so much, Jordan. And of course, as always, to our Easyjet SimPilot channel members, thank you so much for your continued support. Like Andy Finley, who is celebrating 14 months of First Officer channel membership. No failures either. Thank you, Andy. Really do appreciate your support, my friends. Whatever you're doing for the rest of the day, have a great rest of your Thursday, and I look forward to seeing you all again on our next flight. Details, of course, will always be posted in our Discord server, so if you aren't already on there, make sure you get on there soon. Thanks very much, everyone. I shall see you all very soon, and I'll play you out with one final replay. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.
$500. $50, $40, $20, retard.